Blog Talk Radio.
Carol the Coach. Sex, love, and relationships. We talk about it here.
Carol the Coach. Compassion with contemporary relevance.
I am a psychotherapist. I can be your personal life coach, and I can help you with your issues. There are no problems too small or too big. You can talk about anything.
Speaker, columnist, radio TV host, and commentator. Carol the Coach brings messages of wellness and empowerment within reach of everyday people every day.
Almost 5 years ago, I lost my soulmate in an accident. He was killed in a plane crash. Life just, for me, has seemed to stop.
There are groups all over the city. I teach one. It is a specific way to start thinking so that you shift how you see the world, which then shifts your energy, and then you feel better and you actually see things differently.
Carol the Coach. Always available, too, at carolthecoach.com.
Now I've got Russell on the line.
I'm 47 years old. I'm a truck driver. I'm married. I have a wife in San Francisco.
Okay.
I haven't been home in 6 months. My thing is, I don't know if I have a sex addiction or what the problem is. Why do I want what I can't have? And as soon as I can have it, I don't want it anymore.
You're right on target when you say, I don't know if I have a sexual addiction. Well, guess what? Yes, you do. And you know what? That's my specialty, Russell. So you're at the right place. Continue.
I meet women online, and I'm in a different part of the country. I travel all 48 states, so I love sex.
I hear self-esteem issues. You never felt good enough, and you didn't feel like you were getting what you should have then, and you're reenacting that now. Do you want to change that about yourself?
You get what you need.
I got an interesting email this week. He says, thank you for taking my email in question. My girlfriend and I listen to you on the radio, and she respects your opinion as I do. So here's the question. I've been separated for 9 months. I'm working on a divorce. Is it okay to date? I believe it is. But she's not comfortable with being around people who know my divorce is not final. Can you help? He kind of answered it
when he said, he did, he answered it. His girlfriend isn't comfortable. He's not divorced. And therefore, you have to close the chapter before you open another one. Now, granted, I am talking to my listeners, and if we were going to, pull this community, this culture, whole darn world, more people start things before they end things. And that's one of the problems. That's why we have so many issues. Hi, I'm Carol Jurgensen-Chief. As you can tell, I'm losing my voice. And that does not happen often. I have to believe it has something to do with the pollen in the air. So I told my next guest, I am out of commission. And she said, no problem. I'll do all the talking. So that being said, I'm really looking forward to talking about the porn solution. You know, there is no doubt about it. Dr. Shachar really does a good job of explaining why porn can be so devastating. And she's written this porn solution. And the fact is, it's about relationship repair after pornography. And that's what we would look for. You know, we, in so many of the sexual addiction communities, the porn is a problem. It is a gateway. It is objectifying men, women, children, whoever. And it opens up the world to bigger and worse things. So we see porn as a real problem, and we're going to be talking to her about what a listener can do if his or her partner is using porn compulsively. Okay, now I want to tell you I'm really excited because I have an IRCM workshop. And, you know, when I have an IRCM workshop, it means that, 7 couples, and I'll take them for a day, and we will really talk about the important pieces of empathy and communication and relationship skills And that is on July 14th from 10 to 5 Eastern Standard Time. Yes, it means you have to take off a Friday. But isn't your relationship worth it? If you want more information on that, just go to www.sexhelpwithcarolcoach. It'll flip right into Help Them Heal, and then look for the tab that says Workshops and Training. Hopefully my voice will be back by then. Oh, I know it will be. I've done nothing but nonstop talking for the whole weekend, and I hope you had a good weekend. But no matter where you're at, you know, the beautiful thing about listening to podcasts is that we're talking to people all over the world. And that's what we want to do. We want to educate, we want to inform, and more than anything, we want to inspire. So I am excited to be working and helping people to heal. You know, I've made it my mission. Can't talk about it strongly enough that really, no matter what the sexual compulsivity, you too can figure out a way with the help of individuals that are trained in this field to get healthier. And Dr. Sandra Shachar is one of them. And any individual at AppSats can really help you with partner sensitivity. And ITAP, the organization that certifies CSATs. You know, those are certified sex addiction therapists. They can help you. But you don't want to just go to anybody, because you'll end up experiencing treatment and trauma-induced issues. You know, there's no doubt about it that when you go to somebody who's ill-informed, they will traumatize you further, whether you're the addict or you're the partner. So please go to the right people. And I say, you know, you may have spent a lot of money on porn. You may have spent a lot of money on transactional sex workers, affair partners. Put some money into your treatment and make it all about getting healthy. Now, I have forever wanted this show to be really a call-in show, but we don't have anybody who can screen the callers. I used to have a drive time show, and I had a producer who screened my callers. And there's something about when you talk about sex addiction, because it has the word sex in it. Well, ultimately what happens is that you get pranked, and we don't want that happening either. So if you have a question, email it to me at carol@carolthecoach.com, and I will address it the next week, and I'll let you know when I'm addressing it so that you can listen in and get some of your questions answered. Can't beat that, that's for sure. Why? Because you're going to a specialist and you're getting free help. It doesn't get better than that. You know, right now, I'm training professionals how to do Help Her Heal and run groups because that has been so effective. I have a group, and I have about 30 colleagues that have taken my training, and they're on my website. So if you want to see if there's anybody in your state that runs face-to-face or virtual groups, again, go to Help Them Heal and find them. And I'm doing some heal workshops where I'm actually training professionals how to help you help each other heal. The IRCM way, right? You remember, IRCM stands for the Early Recovery Couples Empathy Model. And that's when we teach you the relational skills to be able to work together and get through this porn addiction, to get through this sex addiction, and get over there to post-traumatic growth. That's what counts. So again, if you have anything you need, I'm trying to lean into retirement, and it is not working very well. But what I do know is that asking me questions all over the world. How do I get to somebody who's certified? Who do you know that works in New Mexico? Is there anybody over there in Australia? And actually, the answers to all three are yes, yes, and yes. So, if you've done your due diligence to try to figure out how you can look up in the APSATS directory of partner-sensitive therapists, I'll go to bat for you. I'll see what we can find out. Because really, it's all about you. You, whether you're an addict, you, whether you're a partner, or you, whether you are, as you well know, a couple that's in deep need of some help. Okay, now let me tell you a little bit about Dr. Sandra Shachar. I don't even think I pronounced it right then. Shachar. Dr. Shachar is a licensed psychologist in private practice in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And she has 30 years of clinical experience working with individuals and couples. Her niche is betrayal. She works with couples and individuals in betrayal and intimate relationships. And she's a certified Imago relationship therapist and a certified clinical partner specialist with the Association for Partnership Sex Addicts Trauma Specialists. That's APSATS. That is a mouthful. She's a member of the American Psychological Association. She's just got all sorts of accreditations and affiliations. But what I really think is wonderful is she is authorized to provide telepsychology in over 30 states. And so if you like what you hear today and you want more, first you get her book. And then what you do is you can contact her directly at her website, which is Dr. Sandra, Sandra, Shachar. Welcome to Sex Health with Carol the Coach. How are you today?
Thanks, Carol. Well, I'm doing well, and I'm so glad to see you in person, well, virtually in person. It's been a while since we got to see each other, so it's a real delight and an honor.
Oh, well, thank you. We have been in many trainings together, and from the first day I met you, you said, I am writing a book, or I am going to write a book. And this book is so well written. You can tell you wrote it with your heart, but you read it with the understanding that people wouldn't necessarily know where to turn. So can you tell me what put you in the place where you said, I'm going to write about a porn solution?
Well, I do really have a very personal connection to a subject I know is near and dear to both our hearts, and that is betrayal trauma. Mm-hmm. So my early life experience was that I was literally born to heal betrayal. My parents were in a crisis of infidelity. My dad had been having a years-long affair, and my parents decided that having a fourth child would help their marriage. So I was born into a relationship that did not survive, but I grew up with a single-parent mom who had been a survivor of betrayal trauma. And from the very beginning, I didn't fully understand, of course, as a child, but looking back now, I have a different understanding of why my mom struggled in ways that she did and what resilience and courage it took for her to be able to move forward in her life. And sadly, their relationship did not survive. But I began in my career as a psychologist to see early on that I had a real interest in and passion for all things related to human sexuality and intimate relationships. So in my clinical practice, for many years, I have worked with couples. And more recently, and I think this has grown out of some personal experiences, sometimes I share with couples, I've been on both sides of betrayal. I have been a betrayer in an intimate relationship, and I have been betrayed in an intimate relationship. I know that there is pain on both sides. And in many cases, especially without help, the relationships struggle and sometimes do not survive. And the chances are so much better if the couple can be supported. Each individual member can be supported with compassion and understanding, and their relationship can be supported. So often people are turning to friends or even helping professionals, seeking some kind of understanding, support, and just not finding that. And sadly, looking back on my 30-plus years of being a clinician, I also was missing the understanding of betrayal in relationships, particularly when it came to pornography use. So I am finding that in the individual betrayed partners that I work with, I don't work individually with the folks who've had the betraying behavior, or as sometimes this extends to compulsive sexual behavior or sex addiction. That's not my training and area of expertise, so I refer to colleagues like certified sex addiction therapists such as yourself and other of my colleagues when that's the case. But I wanted to help not only myself but other clinicians be aware that pornography betrayal is betrayal, and it affects betrayed partners and their relationships in some very particular ways.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. And so it's like your own personal experience led you to this field, as so many people have decided to do sex addiction or partner betrayal. But you've also had the gift of being able to put couples back together. And that's what I think is so wonderful about this book, because it really is a well-written guide, if you will, on how do you deal with discovery? How do you deal with your feelings? How do you deal with boundaries? What kind of communication do you use? You even give examples from people that are working through this problem, and they're stalemating. And if they use specific formulas, they do a lot better at communicating with one another. So I'm going to ask you, who do you believe this audience is for?
Well, I think there actually are three audiences that I'm addressing all at the same time. One is the person who has the discovery of the hidden behavior. And a betrayal is anything that I didn't know about my intimate partner that I would care about. So I sometimes say to folks, if you're not sure, or if there's any doubt in your mind about whether something that you're doing, whether it's having lunch with a colleague or viewing pornography, if you are at all in doubt about whether or not your partner is okay with this, just ask them and they will tell you. So it's anything that I didn't know about you and that it would matter to me if I did. So the first audience is the betrayed partner who has discovery, and it is having to discover something, uncover something, or seek and find information that was not freely given to me. I mean, one of our ABSATS colleagues first shared a saying with me that information that is freely given is trust building, but information that is taken or has to be discovered, or only if I ask exactly the right question, that's trust breaking. Mm-hmm. So anything that constitutes deceit, lying, hiding information is a betrayal, no matter the form, whether it's financial or it is viewing pornography, or if it's having sex with other people or emotional connections with other people that I've not shared with my partner. So that's the audience one. The second audience is the person who has engaged in the behavior that constitutes betrayal. And for that person, they often feel that they're in a position of having to defend or justify their behavior, and they're at a loss as to how to save their relationship. How do I help my partner and help our relationship move forward? And I often hear this, I wish we could just get over this. I wish we could just get past that. The third audience really is the relationship. I'm often saying to couples, there's you, there's me, and then there's our relationship, and that's its own thing. And the relationship is damaged by the huge disconnect that happens when betrayal is known. So these three pieces, it's to create compassion and understanding for all three of these aspects of what brings people to seek help for betrayal.
Well, that really does a good job of delineating the three types of readers that you might have. And, this book has been out how long?
Oh, a week.
A week.
It's very new.
And how can people get your book?
Well, it's available through the publisher, Sano.com, Sano Press. It's also available on Amazon in a paperback or Kindle version. So hopefully pretty accessible to most folks.
Absolutely. And the full name of the book is The Porn Solution, Relationship Repair After Pornography Betrayal. Now, you say that there are some common mistakes that couples make after betrayal is discovered. Can you go over some of those?
Well, I can, and some of them are on the individual side. So let's start with the partner.
Okay.
So partners who have been betrayed often are very resilient, high-functioning, intelligent, competent, courageous individuals who have forged a path in their life that is noteworthy, and they're used to taking care of things. And one of the things I often have to say to very high-functioning, we can do this partners who tend to be, in my clinical practice, predominantly women. I do want to say that betrayal respects no gender, identity, race, socioeconomic status. It really doesn't care. It affects every type of couple. But predominantly the people who seek help tend to be women, and predominantly in this case with pornography use, their partners are male. However, anyone with any gendered pronouns can relate to what I'm sharing. So betrayed partners tend to want to approach life as a DIY project. I can do this. Google is my best friend. I can figure it out. And also tend to turn toward friends, close family members, and receive well-meaning advice. Our Western civilization tends to give the message that if someone has done you wrong, you should leave. And that often I hear from my individual partners, I used to think if someone did this to me, I would not stay with them. I would absolutely leave this relationship. And for some people, that turns out to be the right decision for them. I don't think any of us get to tell or judge a partner whether they should or should not stay in a relationship. It's ultimately up to them to decide. But making that decision or seeking advice from people who have not been in your shoes or don't have some resources to offer to help move you forward is often turns out to be something that they wish they had not done. Mm-hmm. So that's a common mistake, is believing I can figure this out on my own, or I can turn to some friends or folks who can advise me in this way. For the person who's engaged in the betrayal behavior, the tendency is to want to justify or somehow explain their behavior, and this can go toward minimizing what already gets minimized culturally. Well, it's pornography. You didn't actually cheat on your partner because this wasn't with someone else. And by the way, everyone does this. Everyone I know has seen pornography or uses pornography. Some couples watch pornography together. What's the big deal? But we know from clinical experience and from some limited research the impact that this has on partners, which is very damaging for their self-esteem, their self-image as an intimate sexual partner. So feeling less than and already minimized, to have your partner further minimize your pain. And I'm working often with the person with the betrayal behavior to not justify what they did or try to rationalize this in any way. But that is the whole piece of mindset. So we're looking at changing some mindsets, some internal mind states. And the third piece is not getting help sooner for your relationship. By the time couples show up in my office, and I'm sure you've experienced this as well, Carol, they are struggling, they are exhausted, they've been having the same conversations, sometimes well into the night, many nights, and it doesn't seem to be helping or moving them forward. So not getting help soon enough, not turning to already existing resources, which many people don't realize exist. I've created an extensive listing of all kinds of resources, including books that you've written, our colleagues have written, websites that are available, support and recovery groups to help the individuals and them as a couple. So those are some common mistakes I see.
Yeah, absolutely. And what has been the response from our professional organization? Because I know that there has been, because of the, it's just porn philosophy, there is not a lot of emphasis on the fact that it really is objectification, which is at the heart of partner betrayal. And in addition, it oftentimes looks like a gateway to other things as the addiction progresses. So what has the response been from the professional community, especially APSATs?
Response from APSATs, from SASH, the Society for the Advancement of Sexual Health, these more addiction and trauma-informed organizations has been highly supportive. And we have a lot of research to support the impact that pornography has, especially with streaming on the internet. It is now available 24/7, so it's highly accessible. It's not well regulated. And young people, we know that pornography has been viewed by children as early as age 5. The research is, which I include in my book, that most adolescents, by the time they're 14, have viewed pornography. Some are seeing pornography regularly, and this creates a very distorted view of what a human intimate connection, sexual connection, consists of. It's not relational. In pornography, it's transactional. So it also, as we're learning from the research, does affect the brain. So we have research using MRIs, these resonance imaging of the brain, and we see that pornography lights up the same areas of the brain as it does for cocaine addicts, and that chronic use of pornography in healthy males who are not diagnosed with sex addiction, but when they had MRIs and were asked about the frequency of their pornography use, the more extensive the pornography, the more habitual the pornography use, the smaller an area of the brain called the caudate nucleus is. And so it actually does shrink some parts of the brain that impact our ability to have motivation, to have empathic connection, affects behavior, and may figure into some things like compulsivity and even ADHD. So we're beginning to have an accumulation, quite a large body of evidence of the impact that pornography has on the brain. And as you referenced, it keeps the affected partner, the partner who's viewing pornography, from being able to be fully present with their real life partner. And that's the goal in the couples work, is to be able to rewire the brain. You've probably heard the phrase, what fires together, wires together.
Absolutely.
So we want to lay down some new neural pathways that enable the couple to be more intimately, deeply connected with each other. And that's the work in the couples repair.
That makes a lot of sense. And so in some ways, when I was reading your book, I realized that the book was written for the partner, but it also was written for the betrayer. And and that's why I think it's so helpful. It reminded me of, I hope that you don't feel that this is in any way an insult, but it's the Bible on infidelity after the affair, written by
Janice Abrams
Springs, right? And then she writes about forgiveness, and I mean, she's just a master at infidelity. And I loved it because it was so non-judgmental, it was so informative, it was so helpful, and it really gave step-by-step instructions on what you could do to get through the crisis, to get the truth, and to get over there to what I call post-traumatic growth. So as you're talking about your book, I'm wondering if you are able to generate things that you might do based on this book. Like, do you think you'll ever do any workshops? Or do you believe that you'll have some groups specifically for this issue? Has your mind been creative lately?
Yes. Well, it's my hope to be able to do that. So I'm so glad that you used the word non-judgmental. That's my approach in writing the book. It's not a judgment of using pornography. Any kind of moral or ethical issues are not addressed in the book because it's not the focus. The focus is on having non-judgmental compassion, both for betrayed partners. I do hope that clinicians read the book who are not betrayal trauma informed, because when the betrayed partners and their partner who's had the betrayal behavior come into a couples therapist's office, it is really important to hold the space for the betrayed partner to not be their best selves. They're deeply wounded, often very angry, and it makes sense from a trauma lens. So having also non-judgment for the betraying partner who has become habituated. The brain wants what the brain wants. And I often say this is a brain thing. Mm-hmm. It's not a willpower thing. It's not a morality thing.
It's not about your genitals. It's about your brain.
That's absolutely right. It is about the brain. So this is a big mindset shift also for individuals and couples to come to. And I love the Imago approach to working with couples. So it was so helpful to my husband and I when we met with an Imago therapist who taught us how to deeply listen and mirror with one another. And as I became more informed about betrayal trauma, I realized what an amazing tool mirroring dialogue is for repair of betrayal trauma, because it allows the partners to engage with each other in a very safe and non-judgmental way. And it doesn't mean that they don't have emotions and can't express emotions, but we do it in a very safe and structured way. And I'm often saying to the betraying partner that you become a healing partner in this process by staying present with your partner, and you don't have to like what they say. You don't have to agree with what they say. You don't have to fix or change what they're saying their experience is. You just need to get it, and you need to let them know what you get about this. And that's acknowledgement that I caused this pain for you. I do have regret and remorse about that. Those are appropriate emotions to have. And that it makes sense to me. I'm validating your experience. I'm acknowledging my responsibility for that. And I also want to be able to let you know when it's my turn to share what I'm doing to work to make sure this doesn't happen again. Because that's the fundamental question that betrayed partners have is, how do I know this is not going to happen again? How can I have safety with you?
Yeah.
So in the mirroring dialogue, we slow everything down. And the person, I often say the betraying partner, who becomes the healing partner, you have the heavy lifting in the beginning. Ultimately, we want this to be a dialogue between the two of you where you also have a chance to share, as I give an example in my book. But especially when there's a trigger, you just need to be present with your partner and getting their experience, telling them it makes sense, and then creating a place of safety with them.
Well, you know, you're singing my tune because that is exactly what Help Them Heal is all about. It's about acknowledging and validating and reassuring and holding space. And in that book, we even talk to you couples in case you aren't lucky enough to have a therapist or a coach, how to learn that yourself. But we really do want you to use experts if you can. So I'm going to ask, it's kind of a loaded question, Dr. Sandra, but what do you think? Do you think couples can ever recover from betrayal trauma, especially porn betrayal?
Well, I do, Carol. And the reason I say that is because as human beings, we have an enormous capacity to change. We used to think that whatever brain matter we were born with, you use it when you can because this is all you get. And as you age, you're going to lose that gray matter. And we know now that's not the case, that up until people take their last breath of life, we're capable of changing our brains by rewiring and learning how to do things and see things differently. So by using this very mindful, I'm often saying to couples, this is the biggest mindfulness practice you will ever have because we learn how to be intentional. We build good couples habits, good relational habits with each other so that we integrate what happened in the past with our trauma, with the betrayal, into the narrative of us. It becomes part of the story of us. And at the same time, it doesn't define us or our future. I love this image, which I have on the cover of my book, and I know some of our colleagues have used as well. Ambushed by Betrayal with Michelle Safier and Alan Katz, use the image of kintsugi, this Japanese art form of taking a piece of pottery that's broken and repairing it with beautiful silver or gold that creates something stronger, even more resilient, useful, and beauty comes out of what has been brokenness. So in this space of heartbrokenness, that we heal in a way that makes our relationship stronger and more resilient and creates more intimacy, deeper connection, and compassion.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And I've done some of that artwork, and it is not only beautiful and it's stronger than it was before, but truly, just like a broken bone, where the bone is broken, it grows stronger. And
exactly,
we are so hoping that you will run out and get this book. Again, it's amazing, and it's so understandable. You've just done a phenomenal job with that. And what I think is that we've needed a good book on porn. You know, we've got a lot of stuff on betrayal of other types, but we really needed something because it had been so diminished. And so you've just done a beautiful job. Is there anything else you want to add, either about the book, concepts, or about your services before we end for today?
Well, I do want to let listeners know that there is hope. That's a key thing to know, that as an individual and most importantly as a couple, when both people are doing the work and want to work on themselves and the relationship, there's every reason to be hopeful and optimistic about being able to repair and be stronger than ever. And in terms of availability, I will make myself as available as possible to anyone who reaches out. I try very hard to respond in a timely fashion when I have outreach for help, but also in my book to avail themselves of the many free resources and low-cost resources like the books that you've written, Help Her Heal and Help Them Heal, the books that are available for the individual partners, and many of our colleagues who've provided online resources that are free and readily accessible, as well as 12-step recovery groups like S-Anon, Infidelity Survivors Anonymous for partners, and the many 12-step recovery groups that are available for sexually compulsive or addicted individuals. And I want to put out a special plug for Recovering Couples Anonymous, a wonderful 12-step recovery group for couples. So all of those are available, and I hope people will take advantage of that.
Yeah, that's very well stated, and certainly, I don't know if you know this, but Help Her Heal is now a 12-step group. And I could see Porn Anonymous doing the same thing with your book. It is just that well done. So congratulations. Everybody go out and buy the book. It is just an amazing, what I know is it is absolutely amazing to be able to have a resource that helps you understand that this wasn't a moral issue. It's the Porn Solution, Relationship Repair After Pornography Betrayal. Thank you so much, Sandra. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Carol. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. You make it a good day.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye. So, as I indicated, there is so much information and literature on so many things, but not necessarily porn addiction. I'm going to do a plug for Drew Boa, definitely does porn recovery, and I hope so much that he can take the stigma away from this, especially with the church. Okay, I am Carol Jurgensen. She says, I say at the end of every show, there will only be one of you at all times. I want you to fearlessly have the courage to be yourself. Talk to you soon.